Yeah, I don't have them.
No, no, I did not give the joint
25,
referrals to
26,
Gary.
27.
Okay. I hope you've got them.
Maybe they're out of order on the bottom of the stack?
They weren't in the Public Works
Nope.
packet.
23,
In the
24, 29,
So it'd be
30,
20.
31, 32, 33,
You've got 25,
Is that
26,
just them?
27,
37, 38,
and 28.
41,
That's administration. and
43, 44, 45.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have them.
There is one that says public work. Okay, because I didn't have it on my list. I had that one.
Yeah.
That one doesn't have a request for
We
proposal.
can, right.
I'll be taking 2 seconds.
Thumbs up.
And we can still do them even without the jacket. That's fine. I'll get started. I'll get going. I'll call administration and finance to order. All 5 members are present.
And I will call Public Works together, and all 5 members are present also.
Okay, and then calling item 25, resolution to approve a bid of Faith Technologies to do a whole bunch of work on LED lighting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on A&F from Alderman Weigel and May.
A whole bunch?
Yeah, term of art. Any discussion? And then for A&F, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Move for approval?
Moved by Alderman Lysick, seconded by Alderman Vitale. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And then item 26, resolution to authorize the city administrator to appoint an interim public works director and city engineer.
Yep, I guess I'm kind of a pitch hitter here, since Rebecca can't talk. The memo from the city administrator is requesting interim appointments of Pete Daniels as city engineer and Dave Webking as director of public works for a period of 6 months. If I understood the memo correctly, and the idea is to, since I'm leaving in January, as you all know, January 2nd is my last day here. It gives a time to basically, it's almost like a probationary type of period there to see if they're able to carry on the job and are warranted to be appointed permanently. Doesn't mean that the appointment has to go to full 6 months. After 3 months, you might say, this is working out great, why wait any longer? You can always extend it too if you wish. Nothing to say that, you can't. So I'm still here for a while. Of course, I'm going to be, I'm always a phone call and email away for some of the other background issues that ever come up. But it does give a chance for Rebecca, along with the group here, to evaluate the 2 candidates for the job.
Mr. Chair, Marzak?
Alderman Vitale.
Yeah, I do agree with the fact of those 2 people. I mean, as far as that I dealt with throughout the years, I mean, Peter Daniel, I believe, is a well-qualified person to retain that position, I mean, and Dave just as well. I mean, he's he's been experienced in public works. Things have been really down at the yard has been really improved, in many ways. So I noticed the difference from years back and today. I think we have a more things happens more expeditiously, and I feel that we can go with the 6 months, but I'm full support for them to stay on the job for years to come until they retire. That's my opinion.
And Alderman Chaplesky.
So what are you gonna be doing for these 6 months?
No, for 2 months.
So
My last
gone.
work day is January 2nd here.
Right, that's right.
Being basically a backup, being what I have been doing for the last number of years, frankly. My main points of my job was to mentor these people and teach them as much as I possibly could over these last few years, since I pretty much decided to retire, years ago, and this has been a very important part of my job, for a while now. And again, I'm absolutely confident that they're gonna walk in here and do an outstanding job and actually bring the two departments up to a level that I probably can't even imagine myself.
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Lysak.
I think it's a good idea. I think this gives, both Pete and, Dave an opportunity to, you know, take on the jobs now, knowing that Mike is there to fall back on and ask any questions right now. Cause they're very, very key and important positions in the city. And it also gives us an opportunity to take a look at their performance in these jobs before we make them permanent positions. So I'm gonna move for Public Works that, resolution be adopted.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Lysak, seconded by Alderman Vitale. Just on further discussion, I'm looking at 3 agendas and I see the item on 3 different agendas listed 3 different ways. So I'm seeing a administration and finance, and it's 2017-0716, and I'm seeing a public works, and I'm seeing 2017-0703, and then I'm looking at a regular agenda, and it's item number 26-27-0303. So I'm seeing 3 different items, 3 different numbers, and worded. The resolution actually is worded. Authorizing the city administrator, Rebecca Grill, to appoint the interim public works director. So just for clarification, I believe we are acting on 26 only, and we're not acting on number 3 or number 2 off the other 2 agendas. Is that correct?
Yeah, those items are discussion items. This is the resolution.
Well, it says request to appoint. It doesn't say
It's
to
discussion.
discuss.
Yeah, it's a discussion.
Okay. It's under discussion items here, and this one says discussions and action, so that's why I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah.
So we are voting
acting
on
under
item
resolution.
number 26.
Right.
It is the resolution authorizing the city administrator to appoint the intern, and that's just for clarification. With that, moved by Alderman Lysak, seconded by Alderman Vitale. Further discussion?
Before we vote, Alderman May has a question.
So once this is signed in, Dave's title will be interim public works director. Pete's will be interim city engineer. What does your title become? I guess if there's a storm or there's a problem, who's in charge?
Mike
It
is
is-
still the director.
He's
He's
still
still
the
the head. These are the interim positions under his tutelage.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, tutelage.
That's a good word.
It's not gonna snow anyway.
That's till January 3rd.
Until January 3rd.
Until I get my snowblower back.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I certainly approve of this, resolution. Both of these people that are being, appointed are very valuable and experienced employees. They worked very well for the city and for all the people in the city, and I certainly approve of their appointment.
Anybody else? I don't think anybody disagrees with any of the things that were said. Moved by Alderman Lysak, seconded by Alderman Vitale. Public Works, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And for administration and finance,
Move
can I-
approval.
a motion
Second.
from Alderman May, second from Alderman Rote. I'm not gonna allow you to have any more discussion. You had a chance. Well, no, I'm sorry, Alderman Plus.
Can we roll call vote?
Thank you for correcting me.
Because the last one wasn't a roll call vote either.
Okay.
We should really have a roll call vote for a resolution. Am I correct?
Oh, it's gonna be, yeah, well,
No, not.
Well,
not-
it'll go
not-
before
not-
the
in
council.
committee,
When
when
it's
it
in
gets
front
to
of
the
council,
council
then
floor,
we
we
roll
haven't
call.
Yeah,
in committee, you vote and your name
yeah,
is
we've never had roll call
checked
in
on
committee.
and off
Right, okay.
We've never had
Yeah,
a
I
committee, no.
Fair question.
on a
You
file.
know, it's just been always
Yeah.
been a policy of resolutions could roll call votes, so.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I
Then
forgot
there,
about a part of that.
then I
meeting.
have, number 1 on administration and finance, and number 2 on public works.
What about 27?
Yeah, we got
All right, let's go with 27 first.
Yeah, 27
Very
is a resolution authorizing the purchase of landscape materials from Hallquist Stone, Seaver Topsoil, Reinders Irrigation, associated ancillary
Move
items.
approval.
A motion from Alderman Weigel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Rote. And any discussion? Then on administration.
Is this a special project, or is this just regular inventory for
Mike Rushmore, our force can,
First
can
step to
answer.
our conversion of our boulevard, planting beds.
Okay.
So Beloit, for instance, we have 14 beds on that short stretch of Beloit. Requires us to go there, turn on the irrigation, various maintenances at all these different locations. We're gonna consolidate them into a major bed at the beginning of Beloit and the end of Beloit. And so this is a process we're gonna work through our whole boulevard system. It ties into our strategic plan and it makes us more efficient overall. And we'll get a much bigger, better looking bed than all these tiny ones in between.
Think of 84th and Cleveland,
Yeah,
We're
we're
Yeah.
on 84th and 76th.
which I think
Nice.
looks very
North
nice.
of Green.
Looks very nice.
So for administration and finance, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Get a little early there.
Oh, that's right.
right.
That's right.
I say it's contagious.
Voted
So-
for wrong committee.
Public Works looking for a recommendation.
But no one
For
noticed, it's
approval.
okay.
Second, I'll second it.
That's right.
Alderman Probst, seconded by Alderman Vitale. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Not either.
All right, and then we have item 28, which is request from the Director of Public Works, City Engineer, and Assistant Director of Public Works to extend the temporary appointment of Cindy Roush in the position of Lead Inventory Services Specialist.
Move for approval.
Second. Motion from Alderman Chapletsky, a second from Alderman Weigel. Any discussion? For Administration and Finance, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Alderman Probst, seconded by Alderman Lysek. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then, this is where we get, on Administration and Finance, on the, special agenda, it's item number 1. And on Public Works, it's item number 2. And it's discussion and, direction regarding the use of city staff or contractors for electrical work.
Okay. I don't wanna speak for Alderman Lysick, but I believe the issue here that you're looking at is a change in what we have done in the past regarding our street lighting projects. If I understand Tom right, is that he's looking at, instead of having our staff members do the street lighting, the CIP work for the street lighting, and that is to start contracting that out. Now, the major issue there is that we never had a biddable set of plans for street lighting and traffic because we weren't bidding it out. We were telling our own staff to go there and change the light bulb, which is completely different from what if we're telling a contractor under contract to do. Therefore, along with this, we're also looking at hiring an electrical designer, electrical engineer on staff to be able to draft and monitor and supervise those plans, because I do not have an electrical engineer on staff. Anything related to electrical has always been consulted out. And you could consult it out that way there too. But we're looking at, right now, our proposal is if you choose to go this way, and again, I don't have any numbers to show you one way or the other if this is going to work or if this isn't, because we haven't never done it that way. This person would also oversee the general electrical department down at Public Works and supervise that staff down there for our other routine work that we do with lights and everything else that we've got in the dozen plus buildings that the city's got right now. So I believe, I think I summarized
Mr.
this.
Chairman?
Yep, Alderman Lysek, please.
Mr. Lewis is absolutely correct, and I brought this up some time back. I have a problem with number one, we've had a problem recruiting electricians. And I did some checking into it, and you know, we've had some employees come up here and appear before Finance Committee and complain about the pay was insufficient, that's why they were leaving the city. And quite frankly, when I started looking at things, I saw we had 12 electricians on staff. And I'm thinking, well, we have 12 electricians on staff, what are they doing? Well, then I find out they're doing capital improvement projects. So when we have a street paving where we sub out everything, the sewer, the water, everything is done by contractors, except for the street lighting. We have our own electricians go out and do the street lighting. I feel it's a very inefficient way of doing things. If it's a rainy day and the contractor's there, his guys don't work, he's responsible for them, he sends them home. If it's a rainy day and our city guys are on the crew, they go back to city yards and they're reassigned to do something else, but it's probably not electrical work. You know, it's something that it's helpful to someone at city yards, but it's not their primary duty. And, you know, they're being paid for being an electrician and doing electrical work. So I feel we'll be much better off, by having outside contractors do it, and I think the goal is we're gonna eliminate 3 electrician positions by doing this, correct? Yeah, it's part of the discussion, we'd be able to eliminate 3 electrical positions, and we also have an opening as head of the electrical department, because that person retired, and so it was thought, in conjunction with that, we could have someone come in and hire an electrical engineer to do the plans for the street lighting and supervise the electrical department at the same time, dual role. So, knowing that we probably won't be able to hire somebody that quickly for the upcoming season, I think, you know, we should be instructing staff to hire an outside contractor to draw up the plans for us on the projects for this year, so we don't have to go out and hire more electricians. We're not advertising for them, only to have to let them go in a few months, or 6 months or a year, when we, you know, downsize because we're gonna be going outside for the contractors. So I think we should hire a firm to take a look at, doing the engineering work, and then ultimately bidding it out and having it done by an outside contractor this year.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Alderman Weigel?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, you go.
I think it's a great idea, you know, but without having numbers, I guess it's gonna be hard to see if we really can replace or not replace 3. So let me understand, so the engineer would draw up the specs for the bids, and then, right now we have engineering staff inspecting construction projects while they're in process. So instead of having our staff do the actual work, we have a contractor do it, but we still have to, someone has to still come by and inspect their work as a, I mean, they wouldn't be on site all the time, they just come by, maybe inspect 5 projects in a day or something like that, right? Okay. And then always my question is, what do our neighbors do? Is this typical of cities our size, with our kind of values, that we've been the outlier on this, where we've been having our staff do the CIP electrical work, whereas everybody else has always rolled it into a contracted setup? Have we looked into that at all?
I know Oak Creek has done a number of projects with outside contractors and with outside design services.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I also think it's a very good idea to consider. However, I like Alderman.
You could say it out loud.
Okay.
Weigel.
Alderman Weigel has indicated he'd like to see some numbers. I would like to also see some numbers and stats
That might be hard to
regarding this,
quantify, though.
to compare costs as well as the other intricacies of the project.
Mike, when we do a street now, and are we designing the entire street when a new project comes in? We're designing the sewer, we're designing the water, we're doing the whole street design already, except electrical? Or are we even designing the electrical?
No, we are not. See, I've got civil engineers on staff.
Right, so
which is why I can get away with the street and sewer work.
Okay, and that's
The
right,
problem
okay.
gets involved with the electrical.
Right, so one step at a time, this is where, so you design a street, you have people that can design the water. You have the water utility, you have somebody that can design the sewer laterals, et cetera, to the houses, the mains, et cetera. What we don't have is the last piece of the puzzle, is somebody that can design the electrical part. If we brought somebody on that could design the electrical part, an engineer, and we eliminated 1 or 2 or 3, I'm not sure of the positions, we'd have to really figure that out. At that point then, your office would be able to design the entire project.
Yes.
The sewer, the water, the electrical. So, just trying to break this down to, all right, it sounds pretty logical.
Alderman May.
I'm curious to know how much time though was actually spent designing the electrical layout on a road. I mean, so
Once it's done, it's done.
yeah, very little to none. So we're gonna hire an electrical engineer to do that for us. But
He's gonna
Think
be,
he's gonna do other
well, what's
stuff.
he gonna be doing with the other 95% of his
Yeah,
time?
Alderman Lysak.
Supervising electrical department. He's gonna be the electrical department supervisor and the person that's gonna design the street lighting for new streets. Now, right now, my understanding is the way it works, there is no design. It's done while they're out on the job, and they say, okay, electricians, we're gonna put a pole here, and we're gonna put a pole here, and we're gonna put a pole here, and then run the wires, and that's how it's done. And quite frankly, talking to people in Public Works, there's a lot of changes that are done in the field and a lot of, wasted time because of the fact that we're not prepared when we go out there. It's done by the seat of our pants when we're out there, and there should be a design program to do it. And that's why I think it's behooves us to hire an electrical engineer on staff, so that we've got someone with the qualifications to go there, design it ahead of time. The electrical contractor then goes out there, he knows what he's supposed to do. And like any other construction project, there's gonna be changes in the field, there always is. I don't care if it's on the road or the sewer, there's always minor changes, we all know that. But we're gonna minimize the changes, and they're gonna have a plan to work from. And then we've got a drawing done ahead of time, and when it's completed, you do a as-built drawing.
So it's more like an electrical division head who also happens to be an engineer.
Exactly.
It's basically what it sounds, because I
Exactly.
know people who do this, and I know it doesn't take up a lot of their
No,
time to do that
Okay.
kind of engineer work.
right.
When 93rd was put in, and this is the, I believe, I hope I have the street right, where they wanted the special curb because of parking cars. And
85th Street.
85th, thank you, 85th Street, I went the wrong direction. 85th Street was put in. I know one of the arguments was, we already designed the poles to be on that side. And we would have to redesign to go back to, remember that? So apparently there was a design,
Yeah, it was
it's not done
in-house.
by
I
the
mean,
seat of the pants, there
well,
is a
it's
design.
It's by the seat of the
By
pants. I mean,
project.
we don't, what I'm saying here is that how we do it right now, when we just go out there and put poles and tell our staff to go out there and do it, is not the kind of biddable plans and
Okay.
specifications that you need to hire Mike
All right.
Lewis electrical contractors to go out there and do it.
They got a
Okay,
sketch or
so
something.
it's
Right.
complete, otherwise we could get away with the street work there very easy there too, because we've got a packet of our own specs for street work, and then we plagiarize the state's packet of street, and then then we have our own plans and everything. I mean, this would be
Yeah.
very easy to do if we didn't have.
This was,
This is what you gotta do for the electrical side of it too. And remember, I think that the CIP has been taking a hard look at increasing the amount of street lighting work that we have been doing in the past, just because of the basic need that our system is obsolete. This is also what this new person, this new idea or thought would allow you to do, is to greatly increase that work, cause right now, one of these days, we're gonna get simply clobbered that we won't be able to replace the light bulbs out there, cause nobody has them.
okay, this was thrown at us tonight and it's discussion. Where can we move forward with this to have something in front of us with a design of, okay, we got this many engineers. Now, my understanding, there was a electrical supervisor, and then there were electricians below him. He has retired. So you're looking, there already was a supervisor, so you're looking at that person being an engineer supervisor, and then ahead of the other one. Can a design chart, salaries of what a engineer's gonna be, and get that to us. I think all the other persons would want that.
2 weeks.
Yeah, whatever, 2 weeks.
I know we're working on that now.
I think if we're gonna move with this, I think we gotta move fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Because of the positions that are being retired, and the opening is probably optimal right now to to move forward with it, but I think we need something, my opinion with Public Works is to move forward. And not administration and finance, you know, we
Head
can't
nods.
vote on it, but a head
Yeah.
nod.
Well, I think, yeah,
Is there anybody that
consensus here.
disagrees?
well, even if you don't get the position all filled out and that you can approve it in a couple weeks, I think what I'm hearing here is that you wanna go the direction of consulting, at least for this next
For this next
season.
Yes.
Because it's getting so late now, I mean, we're designing now, I mean, so this, but what I'm hearing here, and if I got it right, that you want us to consult out, get proposals from consultants to come in here and start designing this, have them design it and incorporate those plans and specs in our street plans for next year. Have I got it?
I'd agree. Is there anybody that
That we can do,
disagrees?
that we can do relatively quick and be ready
It
to
looks
go,
like
and
it's pretty.
that's what we gotta do first. You can-
Alderman May.
Got a little bit of time.
One more clarification, we're gonna send that out, and the installation of those lights on those design plans is gonna be done by
Yeah. Who-
our
No,
electrician?
it's gonna be
It's gonna be
the-
done by
by the
Allis.
contractor.
So does this up our capital need?
You'll have those numbers after we open. That's one of the I can't give you any solid numbers one way or the other.
Pete shook his head no, I'm taking that. The new interim director says no.
I have street lighting in the budget. I guess I don't know if it's gonna be. I've always had street lighting in the budget, even if we're doing it in-house,
Mm-hmm.
because they do charge against us,
Yeah.
so
Perfect.
it's already in the budget.
Okay.
And
Thank
the
you.
fact that we're going to save, some engineering staff in Public Works frees up money in that end.
Could we still have those numbers?
When
Well,
we have them,
positions.
when they have them available, but
Yes.
if
Positions.
you're not gonna have them anytime soon. We
there
gotta
any-
generate them first.
Thank you.
Is that,
I'm hearing.
Yep.
Not
Action for 2018.
is there anything else? That's done?
We got,
That's done?
the positions.
Is there a one, communication from city engineer requesting to fill the vacant position of electric? Okay, that one's done with number 27, cause that's on that one too. Is that it?
I think that's it, right?
What about
I
Cindy Rose?
believe so.
That was on the, we did,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for Public Works. Yeah.
okay, we're set?
In here, yeah, I think.
With that, we'll join the joint session and go into separate meetings.
It's nice hanging out with you, Public Works.
Yeah, it was really a pleasure.
I will adjourn administration and finance and go into license and health. If the chair of license and health is okay with that.
He's just,
All right.
go, meeting to order.
Can you take this one first, so then we can send it over to, Public Works?
Okay. I've been told.
Sorry, Monica.
Okay, taking up item number 54. Any work you already voted on? Already signing. Is he take it over to Public Works?
Yeah, I'll take it over there next. Maybe
They already,
just,
they already voted on it. It's all filled in, signature and everything.
Oh, that's.
They do it ahead of time? Okay. Okay, this is number 54. This is Downtown Business Improvement District communication regarding Christmas on the Avenue, Saturday,
I'll move approval.
December 2nd.
This is place on file.
No, this is approve.
Approve, yeah. Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
No problem.
Somewhere.
Leave the courier.
Okay, then we got number 74, Thomas Amon.
Yep.
Okay, you're gonna be taking over.
Wall lines?
Yep.
Okay, have you ever done this before?
I've been in the biz with my father for 10 years and my uncle for the last 10 years too, so about 20 years total.
Okay. Here or south?
Milwaukee.
So you're familiar with all the rules and regulations?
Indeed.
Didn't see anything that jumped out at me. Okay. Do you have any discussion, any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Sure. Oh.
Alderman Weigl.
On your public entertainment form,
Okay.
identify if sound amplification is used, and you check no. Is this our first acoustic bar?
I thought that was for the jukebox.
No. This
I'll be-
is, so you're gonna have a stereo
Yes.
and all
Yes.
that stuff, so, but you're
Yes.
not gonna have bands.
No.
You're, I guess, I don't know what motion pictures means, but you're not gonna do live music.
No.
I mean, you may occasionally apply for a special event, but
Right,
not
for
gonna
outside
cover
or
routine
something,
music.
that's
No patrons dancing,
never.
okay. That's all definite. Karaoke, no disc jockey.
No.
Okay.
No karaoke.
And, I'm actually heartened to say that I see your estimate on your plan of operation. It's not the overly optimistic 50-50 alcohol and food that we see so often. It's 95%,
Right.
that, you know, it's realistic.
Right.
And just for everyone's edification, you said you worked in the city of Milwaukee, and what were the names of those places? I mean,
Two Amens was on 6th and Layton with my father from like 2000 to about 08.
And that was a big kind of club?
It was a
kind of
bigger,
place?
and a bigger complex.
venue, yeah,
And I worked for
yeah.
my uncle on 92nd and Beloit
Okay.
for the past 8 years, doing the day-to-day there.
And-
Okay, so on that
Yeah.
so we'll just change that in the,
But I filled it out
I
wrong.
don't think we have to vote on that. You know,
No, I
amend
just
or
wanted to
anything.
make sure that I saw that, it's like,
Yeah.
is it gonna be walleye unplugged, or?
Real quiet bar.
So do I have a motion for that?
Oh, Mr. Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that's been a pretty quiet bar when it was walleyes, and I just hope you continue that.
I will do my best to keep the neighbors happy and keep all of you happy. I understand that the
Sounds good
license
to
is a
me.
privilege, not a right, so I totally understand that.
You still waiting for a motion? I'll move approval.
Second. Oh, go ahead, Haas.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
One more question I always
Go
ask,
ahead.
are you buying or renting? You
Bought it.
bought the building?
And you need to give the speech.
I think he knows the speech.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
But there's other people in the room, I'll save the speech for other
For
people
then?
who don't.
All right.
I give a speech about, we expect, and this is for other people in the room too, applying for licenses, that we expect you to be a partner with us. You know, when there's a problem, then you're gonna convey this to your staff, you know.
One.
We get these police reports where the police respond to a problem at the bar, and everybody's drunk and nobody knows anything,
Right.
and the bartender didn't hear anything. Or even worse, the police have to respond to the hospital because somebody got a beer mug smashed in their face, and nobody at the bar reported anything, and nobody knows nothing. We expect you to be, yes, officer, this is what happened.
Absolutely.
Here's our security system, let's take a look at, you know, we got video, yeah, I got a license plate on when the guy drove away, you know, yeah, so. And there will be an occasion when the police send somebody in not 21 years old, likely to buy, you know, for a
We'll get 'em.
compliance check. A lot of places fire this employee that I can't tell you to do that, but, you know, it sends a
their
message to your other employees that
Sure.
that's not the kind of stuff that's tolerated.
Understood.
Am I missing anything?
And the one that I would add to everyone, for everyone, is if you're thinking, should I or shouldn't I call the police? The answer is always call the police. Then, if you ever have that, well, should I call the police?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigl.
Most often we call an operator in, it's because there was a problem at the bar and no one from the bar called.
Okay.
That's not to say calling will absolve you
Right.
of any sins, but we would rather hear it
From us, not
immediately
somebody
from the
else.
person there. At least there's one sober person in the room. You guys have a drinking policy for your employees?
We're not gonna drink.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We oppose? Motion carries.
Grand openings when?
Hopefully Monday.
Oh, that's quick.
Hopefully.
Kind of a soft opening.
Good things happen. Not anymore, because this is on TV.
Oh, that's right.
Next week, Monday.
Next week Monday.
Yeah, yeah. Monday, December.
You know, some Monday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Susan, Justin? 75, this is the 16-17 license. Jenna, we just place this on file? It's never been voted on, but.
Yes, I don't, I feel like she has the two applications?
Right.
Gotcha, yes, that'd be something.
So do we have the first, number 75, place on
Place
file?
on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we have item number 76. This is to give you a license. You really don't intend on opening, or you intend on opening, every 30 days? What's, I know in our last discussion.
I will open, probably limited, but I will open.
I was thinking about this when, looking at it coming up on the agenda again, and just thinking how it's been so nice with your place closed. I mean, I understand your situation and everything, but I remember having going by there every single time and just, sit for a while, watch it, or drive by special to watch the place and everything. And the gentleman coming up speaking tonight, he's right. How it's those people in that area lived in hell for I don't know how long. We have the police there constantly. I don't know how many times that we were there, and you weren't running the bar at the time, but you were the owner of the bar at the time, and then we can even go back as far as your son. Probably how you ended up with it. So I really, Jenna, once again,
Yes.
if I can ask you now, I always look at it from the aspect of, do we have a reason to vote no? Now obviously her record is fine, but do we have enough problems with that bar to vote no on it, to keep it closed?
Yes, I believe Ms. Jessian was actually revoked the prior net location, the owner before this one. Now, this prior one was also taken away basically by the License and Health Committee in a sense, or there was action
Mhm.
threatened by it. So there's definitely enough to stand on to not grant a location. Based on the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and the police calls, there's just habitual law offenders, the fact that Mr. Jessian is on the premises. I believe there was a provision put in place at one time where he was prohibited from being on the premises, and then he
Right.
was found on the premises again, which was in violation. So they've been violating the License and Health Committee's directives for some time.
And Mr. Chair, I move denial.
I'll second.
Okay, we have,
I do say I have,
just 1 second, please. Motion and a second. Further discussion? Go ahead.
so then I won't have a license for my bar?
Correct.
You're gonna have an empty building?
Correct.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
So you have an empty building now, and you have had an empty building for a while that you've been trying to sell. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in your attempts to sell it, I'm not a real estate agent. I mean, you had it listed with the same broker all along?
I just got an email from him this afternoon that he has a buyer and they're working on an offer. And I got that this afternoon.
And
I don't know any details on it yet.
And understand that our current situation is not like it typically has been in the city. I believe we're under our quota. So you not having a license there for to kind of promise to a seller doesn't mean it can't be a restaurant. Your application here, you have it down here. I'm looking at your application.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Well,
a
and
tenant.
you have alcohol sales 30%, food sales 70%. Okay, that's the numbers that you don't even see at like a BW3s. They don't even have that high of food.
That's
I-
probably a mistake on my part.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to your unfamiliarity with the current business as it is. What I'm trying to say is, not having a license to quote sell with the business at that property doesn't mean it can't be a bar or restaurant in the future. I think we're 5 under quota right now. Is that number? Does anybody know?
That was 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
That was 3, too.
Is it 3? Okay, maybe it's 3 under quota right now. So again, the point is, if you have an active buyer, okay, and this person meets the standards of this committee and the council with a business plan that we can approve, that we'd be comfortable approving, I can't see a reason why you shouldn't
I
be able to sell it
understand,
without a
but
license, even without a
I
license.
just spent hundreds of dollars to get everything reinstated.
Yeah, which would need to be done anyways. You're talking about the plumbing.
myself.
Yeah, the plumbing and all that.
Well, and reinstating my license, $200 for this, 50 for that. I mean, it was my own, which I haven't gotten rent there since the other people moved out in
No.
January. I'm really hurting. I just don't, I hate to take a chance of having a building without a license. I'm totally concerned.
Well, I think you're probably paying for the mistakes of the past.
But I wish this would have been brought up 2 or 3 meetings ago.
Mr. Chair,
Hold on, me.
so this was brought up 2-3 meetings ago, because every time this comes up, I say, are you gonna open the next 30 days, what's your plan? And the answer is, well, we don't have one yet. And I've had a past problem with this committee, extending licenses to individuals who simply wanna sell. They wanna hold on to it, sell the place, they have no desire to open up whatsoever within the next 30 days. And the last time you were here was a month and a half ago, and I said, next 30 days, come back, have a plan. There's still no definite plan. Besides the reasons that were mentioned previously, I think that's another reason for denial. You've come before us several times with no plans to open.
No, that's why I went through all this. I am going to open up whatever, what was it, once a month or once a week, or do you have to be open?
Once every
You told
30
me.
Once every 30 days.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair,
All in one.
if we grant you the license, when are you gonna open up?
As soon as possible.
That's not the answer.
Well, not prepared, I wasn't sure,
Well,
but
you've been
I would-
told for the last several meetings that you need to be prepared to open every 30 days. Have you hired anyone? You were just
I
gonna.
have not, I'm
yeah.
gonna do it myself.
You're just gonna do it yourself and open up
Yes.
like one day a month,
Yes,
and so you have no employees,
no employees.
Yeah. but you're still gonna go through all the sales tax issues. Buy from a licensed wholesaler.
No, I know all
Yeah.
that, oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for denials. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Sorry. Christopher Powles? Okay.
The white sheet.
Okay, this is an application for new license. That's gonna be at the Mongolian place, huh?
Yep,
Okay, possession, you got possession, and registration, and we have a lot more. We have the possession 09, 14, 16, and it's disorderly conduct in 9. Could have been the same one, no, 2 different ones, one workshop, but you didn't write down. If anybody looking at this
Right.
can see a pattern
Right.
that you have a problem with drugs, grass, whatever. So, one of the reasons it concerns us, police will always tell us this is one of the biggest places that it's past is in bars and everything. So when someone comes in front of us with a obvious record of getting caught this many times, which doesn't mean that's how many times you just tried it and everything, it definitely concerns me, so.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything?
13 and 15. Yeah, go ahead.
Alright. Anybody else have?
I-
Would a motion?
Mr. Chair?
Alden Weigel.
I guess I'm looking at your history here, and you have possession of THC in September 5th of 2014 in Heartland and in Pewaukee. Was that coincidentally the same date, or was that one was a court date for another, or?
It might have been a court date for another. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
So I do.
And what was the circumstances, you know, let's, you know, I'm looking at a conviction here of, in April of last year in Waukesha, possession of THC. What was the circumstances?
That was there was my parents are having like this was like I actually got called with it, and I think it was like 2015. It was for the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fights. Me and my girlfriend was like in my front yard, like yelling because we were kind of in a fight. Cops were called. I had a little bit of marijuana on me, and then I went on probation for a year. Just got off of it, and just been running the straight and narrow since.
Okay, and Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weyer?
And do you have is this gonna be a full-time job for you working there, or do you have another job, or?
Nope, this is a full-time job. Before this, in the past, I was general managing a few of the Dickey's Barbecue Pit restaurants in the area, and then I just accepted this position a month and a half ago. So I just got done with training, and now the restaurant's open as of October 9th, so full-time job.
And I haven't been there yet. So it's kind of counters. It's a full liquor license.
So basically, it's we have wine, 4 taps, and it's all in the back. No bar there.
Okay, so it's no liquor. It's just beer and wine only.
Yep.
And so you don't have like a dedicated bartender.
No, there's no dedicated bartender at all.
It's a fast casual restaurant.
Yeah.
With counter service, right? It's not table service.
It is table service.
Table service?
Host,
Okay.
servers,
Okay.
and all that stuff.
Okay. So, the idea is that you'd be a manager.
Yeah, I'm the food cost manager there, so I do like all the ordering, and all that sort of stuff.
So, how many other people would have a license, bartending license there?
There are 2 as of now, and they're both having to work a ton just because that we're trying to get me a license and 2 of my other employees a license as well.
Okay. So you understand if you're not actually pouring the drinks, but you're like in the office doing paperwork, that doesn't hack it.
Yeah.
The person doing the actual bartending has to be under I think it says direct supervision is what
absolutely.
Is what the state code says.
Yep.
So, and I understand it's kind of a, you know, you can't get every waitress to get or every server, waiter, waitress to get a license. I mean, you could, but
right.
But I just didn't want anybody to be confused that, oh, there's one guy in the premise, he's in the back office, he's got the license.
No, yeah, we have 1 server on staff right now that has one, and we don't really sell a lot of alcohol to begin with. But all the pouring, well, as of right now, all the pouring of the beer and administering of the beer is done literally by 1 person, because we have 1 person on staff all times that has their license.
And understand that our concern that is if we do grant you this license would allow you to go bartend at any place in the city of West Allis. This isn't tied to this location.
Yeah,
So you have a falling out with the boss, oh, F it, I'm gonna go work at, you know, some other bar. And if we have a concern about your past drug issues,
Sure.
you know, some people would say, oh, he's just working at a restaurant, it's not a problem, but.
Yeah, last place I was employed there for 4.5 years. I don't have any plans of leaving anytime soon.
Does, the drug test at work where you are?
No.
Okay. Would you pass a drug test if they did?
Yep.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Well, I'm gonna go on what you said, you know, this is the past, and I realize this is a restaurant, a new restaurant, hopefully it does well, so.
Sure.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Well, much appreciated, thanks guys.
Your license, if it gets approved tonight, full council will be ready for pickup tomorrow, at between say 10:30 and 1:30, where you applied for it. If you don't pick it up, it'll be mailed to your address.
Okay, sounds good, thanks again.
I don't even have that down. Jose? Okay, this is for the Classic Realty, 3411, this is no number.
No.
It's a discussion item. I didn't show. We just wanna know what's going on with your property.
I actually have an offer on it, and they are working with the licensing and permit and all that stuff right
You
now.
know,
The offer to purchase or a
Oh,
tenant?
yes, sir.
Purchase?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's contingent on licensing approval and all that stuff, so.
Is it a restaurant or? I don't know.
Honestly, they didn't give me an exact, it's Franklin Realty, Holding Realty. But from what I understood, it's, they're trying to get a smoke shop or a restaurant. It's a group. I don't know if you ever heard of them or not.
No.
Sounds like an investment holding firm.
Okay. Okay, so hopefully you're gonna be done with it. You're gonna find another place for your cars.
I actually blocked the
Right, I know.
driveway with them, so,
I know,
so you don't have
put that in there.
private sellers over there.
Okay, any questions? Anybody?
Mr. Chair?
Along with?
So when can we expect to see an application from this potential buyer? Well, you have an offer? Have
I
you
got an
accepted their offer?
It's basically
Well, they have a bunch of contingencies.
a lot.
Yeah.
We working on it. Let's put
Okay.
it
And is
that
there an
way.
expiration on that offer?
Yes,
And when's that?
I actually give them deadline till Friday,
Oh, okay.
to either show me a license or they're gonna continue with the, I don't know if you passed by there,
Oh, yeah.
you see
Alright.
the boards,
Yeah.
there's glass behind there.
Oh,
I'm actually protecting it just because, you know,
there's nobody around, you don't, yeah.
yeah, nobody around, I
yeah.
don't wanna start, you know, that was $9,000 worth of just glass in the
Yeah.
front, so there is actually
Okay.
glass, we are working on it, so once the offer came in, I stopped, because the offer was as is, as
Yeah.
shown. I stopped, and right now, I just came back from overseas, and I'm like, okay, where we going with this?
Yeah.
You got till Friday to either give me a definite answer, sign, or I'm gonna continue with my project, so.
Okay, and so if you don't get an affirmative from them by
going.
Friday,
Siding is going,
what's your timeline then on being, for you to go forward with your project?
I'm going full force.
Yeah, so does that mean you're gonna be open in
90
2 months, 90 days?
I personally not gonna open.
Okay,
I
you're gonna
told
find
you.
it, you're gonna rehab it and find a tenant or rehab it and
Yes.
sell it?
Rehab it and find a tenant.
Find a tenant.
It's just the offer was very
Well,
good.
somebody's coming in with money, yeah.
I couldn't say no.
Money's good, yeah.
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 So, you know, once the offer came in, I entertained it, but on the other hand, I don't wanna stop what I'm doing.
No, you don't wanna wait 2 months for him to find out he's not the right guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he got told basically Friday to either tell me what's going on, other than that, you're gonna see a contract, and the glass is there, everything is there, siding was the next step, and brick.
Don't remind me, is there an approved plan commission, a site and landscaping plan for this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody else have anything further? Okay, it's just a discussion item, so we don't have to vote on it, so just, keep us informed.
Yeah, thanks
No
for coming
problem,
in.
sir. Thank
Yeah.
you, appreciate it.
Okay, for the last appearances, we have, number 67, this is a request from Joe Kempen, for a variance that, we gave him 3 years ago, after years of debate. And, I spoke to, Kevin Fadden and other people, and there's no problems with there. They've been turning off it, it's set by a clock, automatically goes off at 10 o'clock. Everything's going fine, everybody's happy with it.
Move
Yeah.
approval.
Okay,
Per our ordinance, we're gonna have to hold a hearing.
I was gonna say, don't we need a hearing? Yeah.
Mr. Chair? Well,
this,
we'll
okay,
leave
just
it
a
a
second.
second, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
This is just a communication,
it's a request.
but we need a public hearing before
The
we act.
request is from Joe Kempen.
Right, before we can extend the variance, yes.
So it's really just a communication for now.
Yes, if you, I guess it's really for, to schedule it for,
Okay, so there's no vote on this then? Okay,
For discussions purposes.
right,
Mr. Chair.
all in way.
So, I looked into it, they got sold. Water
The
Texas-
company got sold,
Company
yes.
got sold, and they're also facing like a $62,000 fine from OSHA from an injury last year. Yeah, somebody got their hands crushed or something. I'm just curious. When I see that it's about, well, we can't find a cost-effective way to solve this problem. I just was looking real quickly to see, well, how much money are they making? I mean, it's been one thing if you plead poverty, cause the last 8 years we've been going through this recession. I'm just curious how business is over there, and if they can maybe afford to put in the permanent solution, that we kind of, you know, I'd like to see some, and I guess that'll come out at a hearing, right? I mean,
Yes, because
Well-
Mr. Kempen or whoever would decide to testify for motor castings, you can request those things.
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
them.
my memory on going through it is that it's excessive.
Well,
But
and that's
the
what it
amount
says,
cost.
it's, what is excessive to me would be $10,000 in my business, but excessive to them, you know, I mean, is it $200,000, is it, I'd like to see that, you know. So, I understand the neighbors are happy, but
That's, okay. So this will be coming again in front of us. Any further questions on this?
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
did you
Yes.
want to schedule a hearing date tonight, or?
It's gotta be a council or just this committee?
I think it's to License and Health Committee and has to be within 60 days
Okay.
of receiving the request.
when does our current thing expire? Well, we can do it.
Can we do it at our regular scheduled meeting? Or does it have to be separate?
I think it could be
I
regular.
think it'd be
They're
regular
regular.
scheduled meetings,
Yeah.
we just have to send out the regular notices.
Okay, that's in what, a few weeks, yeah. Why don't we, is it okay with everybody? Our regular schedule, what's the date of our meeting?
After Thanksgiving.
Is that gonna be enough time to publish?
Is it the 30th? Is that our Monday the 30th?
Fourth?
I'll verify,
Okay,
make sure that all that works.
okay.
Okay, she'll get back to us, but I like to do it at a regular scheduled meeting, I don't wanna have a really special meeting on that, so. Okay. I think we got item number 68, pick and save. To establish checklist service.
Click list.
Checklist.
And the city attorney has something to say about
Yes.
that
I do.
too.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
I thought of that even before I saw your.
Why don't you come up here?
I
so
will
we
come
can-
on up. I might as well just stay up, so I'm sure I have something to
Alright.
say big enough too, so.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this, well, the way they have it worded, I looked at the application, it basically, it has the people coming, ordering it online, they won't be leaving their vehicle, and then the personal shopper, who's gonna be licensed, will come out and deliver everything there. That's in violation of our ordinance, the drive-through facility, because basically says that anything that requires, or doesn't require you to get out of your car would be prohibited for the delivery of alcohol or, dispensing alcohol in any sort of way. So either we'd have to, get rid of the ordinance is a possibility we could do, or Pick and Save would have to amend their application to make that person, the customer, get out of their car and go inside the store. Then they'd be okay.
But just for alcohol purchases,
Right.
not for anything.
Not for anything else, no.
Mr. Chair.
Oh,
Didn't the application say that they would drive up into the special parking stall? They'd still have to go in and actually pay inside. So it is possible. No,
No, it's a thing that they pay online. I think it's like an online ordering system.
I thought there was some steps they had to go inside. I was
It
like,
was
oh, pick
kind
up
of
your
a weird,
alcohol while you're
it
in
was
there.
weirdly written because it says personal, it's just shopper, but the shopper is the store employee is what they're calling it. It's like, I don't know, your personal shopper or something.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, my.
Was the shopper gonna be an employee of Pick and Save, or was it gonna be a service? Cause some of these shopping services, you order online, you pay your service, and the service pays the grocery store. And that wouldn't work for alcohol, cause then the alcohol's getting sold twice.
That's right.
Yes.
I don't think that's
I think it was this, I got the impression it was
It
a
would,
store
it
employee.
would have to be a store employee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You are?
I'm a representative around these supermarkets.
Okay, come on
You can
forward.
help this conversation.
Hi, my name is Brianna Cotton.
Okay, explain to us exactly how it's gonna work.
Sure, I can do that. So this is ClickList, like the city attorney said, this is our online ordering option. So what the customers can do is go online, order their groceries online, put in their credit card information, and choose a time to come pick up their groceries. They go and park in a designated parking spot in the parking lot. The associate, when the order comes in, sees the order, goes and picks the groceries. If the order has alcohol in it, it gets marked as having alcohol in it. When the customer comes, they call the number on the sign. And then the associate, who, if it has alcohol in it, has a state-issued bartender's license, brings the order out to the car, goes through the receipt with the customer, verifies that everything's good, verifies the ID of the person that they're able to purchase alcohol, and then puts the items in the car, and then goes back to the store and finishes the transaction. That way, in the pick and save, any pick and save store, everybody gets carded. It doesn't matter what age you are. The system requires a birth date, so the order doesn't get completed until after that the person's age has been verified.
But you said some state issued license.
Yeah, the bartender's
No,
license.
it's the reissue.
It's all,
Be
it's
issued.
come
Oh,
from
it's
us.
city. Oh, sorry.
It's from city, yeah, so I just
Mr. Chairman,
clarify that.
and this would be a question for the city attorney.
Good.
My understanding is that delivery of alcohol from a Class A can only happen when the purchase happens at the Class A licensed establishment. So I could go to a liquor store, buy a bunch of liquor, and they could deliver it to my home. But I can't call them up and give them my credit card and order it over the phone and have them deliver it to my home. Because the purchase then isn't, the money side of the transaction isn't happening in the store. And is this where, are you doing this in other cities in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I've actually
saw an ad.
visited about 20 cities at this point.
I'm not, unless something
Big
has
noise.
changed, I don't, I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but, so your licensed bartender is essentially stepping off the licensed premises to deliver the alcohol, but the customer doesn't have to go into the store and pay with the credit card.
Correct, and that's
Yeah,
why
see, I
that's
think
why
that's what-
we're actually extending the request is to extend the licensed premises to include those parking spaces, so that way the transaction is happening within
in
the
that
license,
parking.
in the
Well, now,
license.
you understand if someone's sitting in a parked car in that space and drinking alcohol, they're in your licensed premises. You understand that?
That's true, but that wouldn't be in violation of our
Well, you'd
Class
be
A
responsible,
license.
you're responsible for what happens on your licensed premises.
correct.
So if someone underage was drinking in a car parked in that stall at 2 a.m. and the police came by, even if you're closed, I mean, we're extending a licensed premises outside of a physical fenced-in property
To the parking lot.
into their
yes.
parking lot?
I guess if they, to combat that, it may be something you would have to barricade those parking
Well-
lots at after a certain time frame, so.
I'm just thinking,
Right.
you know, if that's the purpose of this, so you're gonna be extending your licensed premises out the doors onto just that one parking space, two?
There are in your packet. Looks like there are four
Parking spaces.
parking spaces right in front of the store.
Is it so is it gonna go the full width? I'm sorry, I didn't see the drawing. But, so, you understand you're taking out, with an extension of your premises, you're taking on a responsibility for what occurs in that licensed premises. You're making your liquor store bigger, and it's out in the open air. You know, so I think conceivably, there shouldn't be any unaccompanied minors there, right? I mean, if we're gonna be strict letter of the law, it goes across your sidewalk into that space where the cars are driving, right?
I believe it does
These
include
parking spaces don't draw like a
the
butt your bit.
pathway.
Yeah,
Yes, it does
directly-
include the pathway.
Yeah, so you have there's, I mean, strictly speak, I'd like to see a way to make this happen, but the state law, I think, says,
Is your premises license for the whole store, or is it just for the portion of the liquor store?
It is the one retail grocery store and liquor store, so I believe it is the whole premises, the whole grocery store.
Okay, so I mean, unaccompanied minors can go.
can go
aggressive,
into,
pick and save.
pick and save.
Right, because it'd
Okay.
be class A, so
Yeah.
I think. So I guess
Okay.
they could have that same problem inside the store if you have.
Yes, if it was just a licensed area, because we don't have a segregated area, I guess you're
Right.
right on that, so that would be a problem. And I don't think you'd wanna have to fence it off, I'm just.
No, that hasn't been
No,
in the plans
no,
for any of
no,
the.
and it would look ugly and it would be tough to manage and, you know, if it was me, I wouldn't do it, but.
Okay, so what is the recommendation? I mean, you say we change our ordinance to say what?
Well, we could repeal that ordinance where you don't, it doesn't matter if we have a drive-through facility in a sense, because they're getting ID'd, they're doing everything that they're basically supposed to be doing, it's just happening outside and making the customer not have to leave their car. Or you could leave the ordinance in place and just say, for alcohol sales, the person's gonna have to go in and do the transaction.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. That's kind of what I'm thinking is the better way to go. Is, I mean, it's still great to have that personal shopper, right? They're out there, they're getting you just show up, walk in quick
Yeah.
and sign and pick up your liquor, the liquor part of it, and go. But you got to remember, just if we repealed this for to accommodate this scenario, it means every liquor store, hypothetically. Oh, sure they could. If we do
Oh,
it
no,
for
no, you're
one,
right. And there was a drive-through liquor store. Oh, Tulsa had one. That model doesn't work in
it doesn't work. No one found
Wisconsinites,
it to work yet.
Wisconsinites want to shop for their. They don't want to just drive up to a window and have somebody slide a case of beer out to them. It's important in our culture. They want to walk the aisle and pick it up. Yeah, you see it in the South. You see it in a lot of other places, but there was one on 110th and Blue Mountain several years ago in Tulsa.
So I'm not saying no to it. I'm saying I'm a little leery of it.
Yeah, I'd support that.
The second thing, would this trigger site landscaping because now the premises of the Class A has been extended?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm
Great
gonna have to check.
question.
But I guess if you're not gonna have the premises, if you're gonna make the person go in for that sort of stuff to
Wouldn't
paver,
need the
then you
premise.
probably would need to amend the premises.
Yeah, that would be.
If they had to go in to buy the alcohol, you wouldn't have.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be a problem because you wouldn't have to extend the premises. Sorry. And then I had one more question on it. Thanks, Alderperson. Go ahead. It'll come back to me.
So, it's just our ordinance.
Yes.
So all these other communities don't have that ordinance.
I didn't pull other. I didn't.
Right,
look at
I understand that,
did
but
it.
that's why we're doing it. We're not doing it, and so we're different than the other 20-some cities. So,
Mr. Chair, I remember what my question was. I did see this advertised. I don't know if it was on Facebook or where I had seen a sponsored advertisement for this. What other locations do you have this? So that maybe I can
Test it out.
Test it out.
Yeah. Sure. Hey, honey, I'll take care of groceries. we take turns. I think next time's my turn. So, what's the next nearest location here that I could go try this out this weekend?
Greenfield is going to be opening. I don't know if it's open yet, but I've gone there and been approved for the extension of license. Sun Prairie is a long ways away from here, so you wouldn't want to go there. Sussex is open.
where in Greenfield?
76.
The one on 76.
You said the one in Sussex is open?
Yep.
Where in Sussex? Is that on Main Street or?
Remember no across the street.
It's
There
the
can't be
only
too
pick and
many
save
in-
in
okay.
Sussex. I'm sorry, I don't know. I know our number. I don't know the address.
I want to try it out.
450, or that you want know that the pick and save in Waukesha on Sunset on the west side.
Sure.
That one has been approved.
By Highway X or whatever.
Okay, so we're recommending that we're gonna hold this?
I'd like.
I guess you have to make a policy determination of what you want to do. If you're acceptable to making the change, or if you want to repeal the ordinance. I guess it's.
Would we
open,
be able
depending
to go for a variance specifically for this site instead of requiring the council to go and repeal the ordinance and couldn't complete? Could pick and save just go for a variance?
The variance would be, it's not a zoning issue, it's more of it's a alcohol licensing issue, so it would be something for a variance.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Or why?
So this is really new. Although you say this, you have 20 places. There, you don't have like a 3-month history to look at. I mean, or you're not familiar with it. Or I'm curious, what percentage of your number of sales include alcohol? So if we require the people who are getting their alcohol with their groceries to get out of the car, is it going to be 10% or 50% or 90% of the people that would be inconvenienced by having to buy alcohol and have to get in? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you know what you don't know those numbers are?
I don't know those numbers. We for Roundy's, the Roundy's division, this is fairly new. We're rolling this out this year. We have 3 that have been operating for a month or two in Appleton and 1 in Green Bay. But I don't have that information on division. However, the Kroger company as a whole has 500 click lists across the country. So it's a program that has been tested over the last several years in different divisions across the company.
and I'd like to remind the committee that we also have, in West Allis at least, we've had a very strong aversion to putting alcohol in gas stations.
Yeah, but we did vote against, we did
Wait,
vote to
well,
approve that.
yeah, but, and I'm not sure why that is, but here we're literally conceivably delivering alcohol to people sitting in their cars. You know, so, not that it matters to me. But I know there's gonna be at least
We're
one
gonna hold
alderman.
We're gonna hold this for 2 weeks, till the next council meeting. If you can give us any kind of information back,
Yeah.
just get it to city clerk,
Sure.
and she'll get it out to us, and, we'll look at this.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then we'll make a decision whether we're gonna change our ordinance or, the other option.
Yeah, and I guess because if you're not gonna, if you make the person come in, you can still operate it as is now, because you're not needing to amend the premises at this point.
Yeah, understood.
That would be
We would, for our customers' sake, and the reason why we're, before you today is we would really like to be able to bring the alcohol to the car. So clickless is for convenience. It's for the mothers with, 2 toddlers that are screaming and they don't want to go into the
And she
store.
really needs that bottle.
And it's the old people who would have difficulty getting. So that's the type of customer that we're really trying to serve with this, and so that's why we're making the real push to go and wherever we're putting in clickless, trying to get this approved. For
Have you
full
gotten,
option.
I'd also like to know, have you, other cities denied you alcohol, approved click list, but put a limitation on the alcohol, split it out separately where the customer has to go inside? Regardless, the customer could still go inside and purchase the alcohol separately.
Sure. Waukesha has an interesting ordinance, specifically as it relates to spirits. So at this time, we are not pursuing the ability to bring spirits out to the car. It doesn't apply to beer or wine. So we're approved for beer or wine there. Their ordinance just has an interesting caveat to it. So far, have not been denied.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May?
you'd mentioned hundreds of locations for Kroger
Yeah.
nationwide. What percentage of those would you say?
Allow alcohol?
Oh, yeah, we sold at the car.
That's a good question. I can get it to you
That'd be,
before the.
that'd be good to know. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, then we have item number 69. We have motion to approve?
Move approval,
Disapproval.
Second.
And we got a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Number 70, this is appointment of new agent, Don Butler, for,
Move approval.
Second.
this is new, subject to necessary requirements.
Approval subject to necessary requirements.
And who was the second?
Weigel.
Okay, my question is, did we square away with them?
Oh, yeah, they still had an outstanding.
Yeah, it's something with the electrical.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Required electrical inspection.
Oh, yeah.
Did we ever square that away with them?
Sam's Club, Ed?
I don't know off the top of my head.
We'll give you a couple minutes to find
Do we,
out.
do we wanna okay this? Do we wanna
Well,
hold
this is
it,
just
or?
this is just changing their
Doesn't matter.
new agent. We're not-
I know we were scheduled for it. I don't
Okay,
know.
cause she came in front of us here and said she's gonna contact you, so. Okay,
I know
so,
what we were looking at was that it be scheduled, that
Right.
so, and Ed just said it's scheduled.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that gets us, I think, to where we wanna be.
sounds good. I have a motion, I got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Then we have, 71 for a special event.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 72, Cordovas,
Move approval.
Corvina.
Gordina.
Second.
I said it every single time. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And then we have also for West Ellis Chicken
Move
Sausage.
approval.
With the day preview.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Move adjourn.
I believe that's it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, I'll call Administration and Finance to order. All 5 members are present. We'll start with items 23 and 24. Those are the reconsideration items related to the police incident, May 13th, 2017. Jenna, have at it.
Alright, sounds good. 23 and 24. To give you some history, this was all from the incident along with Ms. Lannon's claim, which I don't know what number that is off the top of my head right now. But you denied number 23 and 24, I think, sometime back in your meeting in July. In the meeting in September, Ms. Lannon had filed a claim for the similar incident with bullets being fired into her siding, into her car. Ms. Handgartner's and Mr. Robinson's were also for bullets inside their car. This was put aside for, I believe, the city attorney's office to set up a special one-time, I guess, agreement saying that we were going to pay this claim just for the special one-time thing. After looking at this, first of all, we can't do a special agreement basically saying that this is just for this one-time thing, because no matter what we do, it's going to be a precedent no matter what. So we should treat all of them the same, which is why I asked Alderman Haas to put on Ms. Handgartner's and Mr. Robinson's claim back on. So in regards to the consistency, we recommended denial on these claims based on the analysis of the law. The officers in this case were privileged to use force, so no civil liability would apply. It's unfortunate that obviously bullets were fired in this incident, but it would be on the liability on the person, the crime, the perpetrator, not the city of West Allis in these cases. And paying these claims would open us up to a little bit more liability. For example, if we have police officers say there's a rape victim, and because we need to collect evidence from her clothing, we end up basically destroying her clothing through the DNA process, then we would be also liable, then open ourselves up for claims for that, reimbursing her for all her clothing. Same with anything else, if we're taking up people's time, and say a witness has to make a statement, they lose an hour of work, because we're also giving it to crime victims or crime witnesses in this case, then we have to open ourselves up for liability for that. The state has a crime victims compensation fund, which is something the state has set up to help victims of crime. These individuals would be eligible for something to receive reimbursement for that. So that's basically why our office recommended denial on these claims. We don't have any legal liability in these claims, and we just don't want to set up more liability for the city by giving into those claims. But if you do decide to pay those claims, we would recommend also that Ms. Handgartner's and Mr. Robinson's claim be granted then too, for consistency's purposes in this case. And one more in regards to Ms. Lannon's claim. Typically, we do the damage mitigation analysis. Ms. Lannon's?
Yeah, I don't think
It's on the agenda.
Yeah.
It is in a different spot though.
Oh, it is?
Number 40, previous matter for consideration.
Okay, we're good.
Typically when I examine a claim, I look for damage mitigation, which is something a claimant has to do in order to, I guess, when a jury considers it or a judge considers it, they look and see how much you've mitigated your damages. Ms. Lannon, looks like she had a lot of her siding replaced in this case. She didn't mitigate her damages in this case. Typically, we also would take in consideration the depreciation of the value of the things that have been replaced, because obviously over time goes, items lose their value. In this case, I don't know how old her siding was, but obviously it wouldn't be the full price of something, a brand new replacement that she got in this case. So based on the damages that she's requesting, I believe that it should be lowered anyway if you do decide to pay that based on the depreciation and the failure to mitigate her damages.
Yeah, and Ms. Lannon, we agreed to pay her $700, which was just her insurance deductible. And the other two claims are for $2,800 each.
And one of those was an 02 Ford Escort, which don't think is worth $2,800. Sure, I didn't look up the
What would
Alderperson Probst.
what would be the deductible on their? I mean, would it be commensurate then to look at what their deductible on their auto insurance was? I mean, that's what we're doing for her. I mean, if you're looking at saying
being
yes,
consistent.
Right.
I don't think they submitted a claim to their auto insurance.
Oh, that's what I was
If they have, who carries auto insurance on an 02, or at least not
Comprehensive.
on the comprehensive.
Not the comprehensive.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Alderman May.
So, a lot of the things you just said are things I said at the last meeting. I really don't think we should pay this, because it's going to become a long-term liability for the city. I had no idea what was that called? The Crime Victims?
Crime Victims Compensation Fund.
Yeah.
So when this happened, are they pointed to that fund at all? When we sent a denial?
No, that wouldn't have been something I put in a denial letter. Just basically, our denials are pretty much form letters that say their claim was denied. You have 6 months to sue us, basically.
Okay, and I had thought about that yesterday evening actually, about this idea that who would really be at fault in this? It would be the criminal.
Yes.
And so she really doesn't have a claim against us at all. It really has to go either to the criminal, or if she can't get it there, she should really go to that crime victims compensation fund. And I hate to do that to her and give her that runaround, but for the sake of the city and its financial standing, I don't think we should pay any of the 3 of these.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Michael?
If I recall in the first one with the siding, the siding was actually removed. I mean, pieces of the siding were cut out to get at the bullet, right?
For evidence.
Now, was that done in the cases with the cars? I looked at the pictures, looked like they were just bullet holes.
They were just bullet holes, but for, I guess, a legal liability standpoint,
It doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter, because even if she would have said no, we
Yeah.
would have gotten a warrant.
No, I'm talking about she allowed us to take her siding off that day, if
Yes.
I remember. So that was part of our conversation was, she cooperated with the police in the investigation. She could have said, get away from my siding, come back with a warrant, that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
And in that respect, but in the case of the cars, I guess, did they just open up the car door and their bullet was laying on the inside? I guess I don't know. And I guess it's a difference without distinction, or distinction without difference, because you're right. What if in something happened, a bullet is fired and hits a very expensive car, or kills someone, and we're paying for damages on an 02 Ford Escort. Why are we not paying for damages on an airplane, or stained glass window in a church, or something else? Yeah.
Right.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, it is a very
Alderman Chapleski?
No, didn't we already vote to pay her her
We
deductible?
did.
No,
We paid her deductible.
It was-
We said to kick it back so language could be drafted that said,
Oh.
we do
Yes.
not, we do not claim liability for this, however, this is, so
That's right.
it was gonna come back to us no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
We didn't pass anything.
Yeah.
And then, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
And even on the deductible thing, okay, so what if somebody has a very high deductible? So based on, they chose to save on their insurance premium, so we're gonna give them more money when something
Right.
bad happens to them?
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May.
I vote we hold with the city's recommendation on 23, 24, and 40.
Yeah, I just, since we're still discussing here, I agree with this further explanation from the city attorney's office. We've realized that we waded too far in the last instance, the last situation. And we don't want to open that door to lots of other claims, lots of other liability. That's what we owe. We owe the citizens. Yeah.
So that was my motion.
That's your motion, and
Chair?
yeah, Alderman Rowe.
Can we get something in there about that victims,
Sure,
or the
I can
denial letter saying, sorry, but here, they'll help you.
Sure, what I'll do, I'll send a separate letter to all 3 individuals and just give them, maybe see if I can find a brochure for the Crime Victims Compensation Fund.
And then do that.
Alderman Weigel.
I'm wondering if we could make it
Wait a second.
direct the police to make it a little. I was recently a victim of a property crime, and I got all that stuff in the mail, but I was the listed victim of the crime. And I guess if you're just an innocent bystander and bullets fly into your car or your home, you might, if we could let people know sooner that that they have an opportunity. I'm not directing the police department to hand these things out to everybody, or I guess once they make a claim with the city. I'm gonna guess that Crime Victims Compensation Fund has a expiration date on it also, and I'm just concerned that if by the time they file a claim with the city and then we deny it, and now, oh, by the way, here's this fund, and they go and they look into it, it's like, oh, that window closed 2 months ago or whatever. I just wanna make sure that if we're gonna leave this as a venue for them, that they get the victims in this case get the information in a timely manner, so.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, just to restate my motion is to
I'd like to make your
hold with the city attorney's
Yes.
recommendation.
and that is to deny items 23, 24, and 40.
Correct.
Can I have a second for that? A motion and a second. Any further discussion? And the motion is for denial. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. And then item 29 is, and items, thank you, and 31 and, okay, not 30?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you. 30 separate. So items 29 and 31 go together. Who want? I think that Rebecca can't talk, so it leaves it to you, Kathy.
Well, I'm never gonna be able to do the job that Rebecca could do on this because she spent hours and hours and hours on this, as has the city attorney's office. This is a way for us as the council to be able to basically be able to manage our departments a little bit better through the hiring process and the termination process should we need it. I think that we've all been present before when we give a direction to any one of our departments and we have a particular individual who may be heading that department that doesn't necessarily like the things that we've asked, and on more than one occasion I've heard things along the lines of, well, it takes 8 of you. I bristle at those types of statements in ways that I can't even begin to explain. And I think that we ought to have, as the governing body of the city, we ought to have a little bit more control over our departments, and this would be the way to do that. We would retain the ability to, when that kind of thing happens, we can actually take action and we can manage our departments a little bit better. So Rebecca, I know you can't speak well, but is there anything specific that you should be able to, that we need to bring forward?
The other part is for the managers and deputy. To have the committees involved in the hiring, because for succession planning.
Yes.
Did everyone catch that? So basically the committees in charge of that particular department would be also involved in the hiring process.
So
For
safety
that
development.
specific
Yes.
purpose.
Right.
Or the specific department head, yeah.
And Kathy, can you explain for us, because I needed some help with it and getting it out, how this would be a 4-year term and
Yeah,
then
this would be,
with an approval?
these would be
like-
for contracts, for our department heads that would be commensurate after an election. So, a council would be elected, say, in 2020. 2021 is when you'd start the contract in the next year. So that and their directorships would be put on 4-year contracts. They would earn their right to their job back, just like we earn our rights to our jobs back every 4 years. We have to get out there, we have to do the bidding of the taxpayers. And when we come back with a direction from our taxpayers and we give those to our directors, they have a responsibility to follow that. We've been given the direction by the people that pay the bills. And so we need to be able to carry that forward, taking, of course, their expertise into account. This is not in any way, shape, or form to take away from the direction and the expertise that we do rely on our directors to give us.
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Chablusky.
as I spoke to earlier this isn't something that should be brought up at a recess meeting. We should be
agree.
holding this and coming to administrative finance, and I think every single person should be involved in this.
I
And,
completely agree.
you know, I totally disagree with most of the things, so.
And Mr.
Yeah.
Chair,
Yeah, Alderman May.
I'm fine with it going to a recess. I'm actually in favor of it. I was gonna, Kathy and I have been talking about this one for a couple of years now. But I'm in favor, but I do look forward to possibly having it at a recess meeting. Recess?
Oh,
Well, I'm sorry, regular.
A regular
meeting.
meeting, correct, not a
Recess from the council,
Whether
different
it's-
night.
I have no
We're
issues
talking
with
just
this being
one
forward
of
at
the
a
regularly scheduled A&F meetings, rather than a committee of the whole. Well, let's look at the committee. Does the committee want to do a committee of the whole, or just a
Yes.
regular
Whichever.
A&F
Committee of
meeting?
the whole.
Sure.
Let's drag everybody in here.
Well, this
Well, we're gonna
concerns
want,
everybody.
we're gonna want
And
everybody,
there's a lot of
everybody should weigh on
discussion, you
this.
betcha.
This is an important, this is a structural change of how we manage our managers.
Yeah, so I think the consensus is committee of the whole then. Okay. All right, so we'll hold that item and,
Refer it to the committee of the whole.
refer
Need a
it to the
motion to
committee
do
of the
that
whole.
kind of thing, or?
No, just hold it. All right.
And, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So, this would really take effect in 2021.
Correct, we have some time.
So we have some time
You bet.
to tweak it, look at it, talk about it.
Which is why it was brought up now.
Good
It
time
was
now,
designed
yep,
to give us
yep,
the time to
yep,
do what we need
yep,
to do,
yep.
so we do it right. I don't wanna come back and do it again.
Okay. All right, so, item 30, a resolution to approve the updated policies that are listed there.
Move
Okay.
approval.
Okay. We have a motion from Alderman May. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Rote. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Everything going crazy here. And item 32, resolution accepting a donation.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any
Mr. Chair?
discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair? Is this gonna be 4 TVs making one big one, or are it gonna be 4 scattered around the council chambers for different?
More big ones.
So it will have a higher depth, so we can read the circles and arrows and the graphs on the presentation?
That projector is so.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 33, resolution relative to accepting a single source proposal from DocuWare.
Move approval.
I do have some comments on that one.
Go ahead.
City Attorney's Office. The City Attorney did review, Scott reviewed the contract. He did have some concerns with the contract, in regards to, the duties by the firm, the warranty on this case. There's no IP, intellectual property indemnification, so we are subject to a lot of liability here. The venue isn't in the state of Wisconsin. I believe it's in Connecticut or one of the eastern states. Another concern for the city. There's basically a lot of issues in regards to another indemnification issue. So the city attorney is concerned about the level of liabilities that this would subject us to without any guarantee of getting anything in return.
Okay. We have a motion from Alderman Weigel. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Thank you. A second from Alderman May. And any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman
this
Chaplin.
is the same thing, didn't we just go through this a couple of meetings ago on something else?
Yeah.
Where we're basically sticking our neck out. And, city attorney's function is to, watch over the city, not set us up for anything, and, I think it's a good process to have, and, I don't know how far, what we can be sued for, what, I don't know, any of the details on that, but, I still always say it's always good to have, to be safe on it.
Yeah, and I think the city attorney is doing a good job in alerting us and what we're of the risks that we're getting ourselves into. But what we're finding is these contracts in general are inartfully drafted.
Mhm.
They're drafted in favor of the company that we are trying to buy something from, and it's a cost of doing business. It's a risk that we take in running a city, running any business.
Mr. Chair?
Same
Alderman
argument.
Weigel.
I'm looking at this, it says it's a $16,500, contract. Is the concern that it may cost us more than that if there was an issue?
Yes.
It's not just we might lose the 16K.
Correct. So especially with intellectual property, that would be something that's sued in federal court where there isn't a damage cap. And for the warranty as well, yes, we'd be at the 16,500, I guess, in that regard. We
Yeah.
won't be getting what we paid for because there's no warranty in what we got in that. But the liability, the IP indemnification is a big issue.
And what does this do?
Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
May I?
Or RT.
Yeah, so 20's here.
Sorry, I did
talked with Scott Post about this. All the concerns he raised are valid. We did reach out to the vendor, DocuWare, to see if they were open to adjusting their contract. They closed the door on that rather quickly. They have thousands of customers, and they just don't change those terms and agreements for anyone, so that door was shut pretty quickly. I think at the end of the day, we were talking about $16,500. I think some of the other concerns and some of the other contracts, there was more money at play. I'm not an expert in intellectual property. The $16,500 is strictly to take the documents we have today in a product called Fortis that DocuWare bought. They're gonna sunset that, and they're gonna we're gonna spend some money with them to get the documents converted to their product. I didn't see a lot of risk in that. We asked questions on whether or not they're gonna be looking at the content of our documents, because some of those documents have accounting information. They're not. They're just gonna run a script that takes our stuff from the old product to the new product. They need $16,500 to help us with that. I didn't think that was a lot of risk. And so, it's basically why we're moving this forward with this committee.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel?
Tony, so DocuWare is a known, reliable company. It's
Yeah.
not just a PO box, and on the address I'm seeing here is in New York.
Yeah.
And so they bought another company whose product we have been using.
Yep, Fortis.
And now they're charging us to change from the old format into the new format.
Yeah, they
Well, I should be in that business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to spend some labor to help us get from point A to point B.
And if we don't do this, then it's eventually our old Fortis documents are unavailable to us, or?
Yep, they will sunset the product at the end of 2018.
Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty handy.
But they announced it 6 years ago, so we've been dragging our feet on this a little bit.
Okay.
We could go and look for a different product from DocuWare altogether, but that would be involve an RFP, and then we'd have to purchase new software, and we'd still have some conversion costs to go from Fortis to some other product. So this seemed like the most.
And the agreement we
efficient
signed
way
in
to
that
go.
situation would have the same problems.
Probably.
Yeah, when's the sunset on, who's buying DocuWare?
Yeah.
Wanna buy DocuWare?
Hopefully no one.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Alderman Chubesky.
Just, you're saying that we could be sued for a lot? On what grounds? I'm
Well,
missing
if
it on this one.
If DocuWare, for intellectual property, let's say somebody else, say Corporation A, really invented what DocuWare is using, and Corporation A sues DocuWare, but we're also using that product as well, then we'd be brought into that
So
lawsuit.
everybody using that product
It's
can be
like
sued.
Napster.
Yes.
But thousands of people are using it.
Class action.
It's a big, DocuWare's a big.
That I don't know, but
They're a big company. Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 34, resolution approving action plan for fiscal year 2018 relative to the CDBG program.
Move approval.
We have
Second.
a motion from Alderman Weigel, second from Alderman May. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 35, communication from the city administrator requesting approval to fill an electrical mechanic 1 position.
Move approval.
Motion from Alderman Weigel. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Alderman May.
Mr. Chair, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a position we're gonna need in another 2 years?
Or will there be enough retirements in the meantime to create more vacancies?
Yeah, exactly.
Do we know?
Where's Lewis?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
That wasn't you.
No, this is
is
Public
Mike
Works.
Lewis out
Public
there?
Works.
He just retired.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a bunch of vacancies, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So-
Lots of vacancies for still
And
looking
regardless,
for 'em.
there's gonna be some work need to be done this winter anyways.
And we're not talking on that previous issue of getting rid of that whole group altogether anyway, so
No.
we're gonna need some
We're gonna need
positions.
some.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And item 36, the communication from the city administrator.
I thought it was lead inventory.
Yeah, lead inventory services. Didn't we vote on that in the
No,
joint?
that
That was
was-
to an extended existing.
That was, yeah.
Move for approval.
Thanks.
Second.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item 37.
Move for approval.
Thank you. We're moving. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 38.
Move for approval.
We have a motion from Alderman Chaplesky. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Rote. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And item 39, communication from the city administrator of the overtime report. Motion to place on file.
So moved.
A motion from Alderman
Second.
Weigel, second from Alderman Rote. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman May.
We had received a request from an individual in the police department who wanted to possibly have time and a half emergency pay. We have 3/4 of information here, 3/4 worth, and there's not 1 hour of that emergency pay taken by a person in his position. In fact, there wasn't 1 hour of overtime or comp time taken. Does that mean that it's not, does that issue die? You see what I'm talking about?
Thank you, Chief. Come on forward.
So it hasn't been in effect for all 3/4. So it's only been in effect for the last quarter. And I ran a number as well, and I think I came up with like 2 or 3 hours of it. So it is it's an issue that affects the employees for the fairness and equity of it, as opposed to, I believe, the actual outcome or impact of it. We've had a few instances in the last 2 days of it. We had a lieutenant out today on a robbery deal for probably 4 or 5 hours of what would be emergency services overtime. But that lieutenant traditionally never files for overtime. So I wouldn't be surprised to see no mention of it in a payroll record. So yeah, it's important, but it's a minimal impact issue.
So it's not gonna have a big budgetary impact on us, but
No.
but our employees feel better that it's there and available for them.
Yes.
When they tap.
Yep, that's exactly it.
I think the issue was that, do they get time or time and a half on the comp? And I don't wanna open up a wall of worms. I noticed in the report, no one was taking it, so why would we even take up the issue?
Or are they not taking it because it wasn't available?
Yeah.
It's available at straight time.
Available
right
at
now.
straight
But there
time.
was
Right,
0
thank you.
hours listed for straight time,
Yeah.
Thank you.
so,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, we have a motion to place on file. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I recommend, the city attorney's claim report as he recommended.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And I think we have our budget. I think. Oh, the sidewalk thing, that's been resolved, item 43. And yeah, item 44, who wants to vote for a budget?
43, should we just put that on file then, as a matter of paperwork?
Yeah, you're right, we should
All
place
right.
it on file.
Move to place on file.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion from Alderman May, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman
What
Weigel,
was
any
that-
discussion?
What was that about?
Jenna will tell you.
The sidewalk?
Yeah.
The sidewalk.
There was there's a contractor who damages a sidewalk, a city sidewalk in front of a person's house.
Our
Instead of-
contractor?
No, it was
Oh.
a private contractor. We discovered the damage and repaired it. We were just trying to bill it to the property. Under the statute, though, you have to do a public hearing for a sidewalk repair. So that's why.
So
Instead of
whose contractor? Who's
the,
the contractor?
the homeowners.
The
So
homeowner's
instead of taking
contractor.
them to court because they were going to blame each other and
Yeah.
it would have taken a lot of time, this was a lot easier and saved us a lot of money in that sense. So
Okay, so we have a motion to place on file, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And then item 44, our budget.
Today?
Yeah.
Or we wait till
You wanna pass it, or you wanna give it another 2 weeks?
Wanna wait till the next one?
We
had our
were
hearing-
waiting on
What's
some
our
numbers,
plan?
weren't we?
Next meeting, Monday or Tuesday, Common Council at 6 PM. Or we could,
I don't think we need that.
yeah,
So, Mr. Chair,
sure, go ahead.
I don't think we need another meeting as a
Yeah.
as a committee. But it wouldn't be bad just to wait a couple weeks because those final numbers did come in.
Yeah.
It gives us an opportunity to look at them.
Okay, so,
Just hold. Just hold it.
we'll hold it, until, and then have a 6 PM meeting of Administration and Finance on November 21st. How does that sound?
Do we need it?
There was some adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then to let the other people in
Ah.
on it also,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think. Cause it is the budget, even though I keep on trying to pass it.
It's a good budget.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Words you never hear come from.
okay, we'll, hold the budget and, hell is this? And then also the CIP program, we'll hold that as well.
We voted.
And we'll again meet at 6 PM on Tuesday, November 21st. All right, and then we have a closed session issue.
Yeah.
And